Here's an uncomfortable truth. Millions of people spend 40, 50, even 60 hours a week earning money. Yet most couldn't tell you the difference between an asset and a liability. They can't explain compound interest. They don't understand tax brackets. And they've never calculated their actual net worth. We work for money our entire lives, but we never stop to learn how money actually works. If you're ready to break this cycle, stay with me. And if this resonates, hit that subscribe button, because financial literacy isn't taught in schools, but it's taught here. The hamster wheel. Let me paint you a picture. Sarah is 35 years old. She makes $75,000 a year, a respectable income. She works hard, gets her paycheck every 2 weeks, and watches it disappear just as quickly. Rent, car payment, student loans, groceries, utilities, streaming services. By the time the next paycheck arrives, she's back to zero. She's been doing this for 12 years. Sarah isn't lazy, she isn't irresponsible. She's trapped in what I call the income illusion, the belief that earning money is the same as understanding money. According to recent data, nearly 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and this includes people earning 6 figures. The problem isn't always the amount of money coming in. The problem is that nobody taught us what to do with it once it arrives. We spent years in school learning calculus and memorizing historical dates. But personal finance, budgeting, investing, crickets, income and expenses. Let's start with the basics: income and expenses. Your income is everything that flows into your financial life. For most people, this means a salary or hourly wage. But here's what financially literate people understand. Income has multiple levels. There's active income, where you trade time for money or job. Then there's passive income, where your money works for you. Dividends, rental income, royalties, interest. The wealthy don't just work for money, they make their money work for them. Now expenses. Most people think they know their expenses, but they don't. Ask someone what they spend monthly and they'll give you a rough guess that's usually 30% too low. Why? Because we only remember the big things: rent, car payment. We forget the death by 1,000 cuts. The daily coffee, the forgotten subscriptions, the just this once takeout that happens 4 times a week. Here's a real example. Michael thought he spent about $3,000 a month when he tracked every dollar for 30 days. The real number was $4,200. That's $1,200 a month he couldn't account for. Over a year, that's $14,400 vanishing into thin air. Over a decade, $144,000. That's a down payment on a house. Gone. The first rule of financial literacy is this: you cannot manage what you do not measure. Budgeting. This brings us to budgeting. People hear budget and think restriction. They think it means never having fun, depriving yourself. Wrong. A budget is a plan. It's a GPS for your money. Let me introduce you to the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your after-tax income goes to needs: housing, food, utilities, transportation, insurance. 30% goes to wants: dining out, entertainment, hobbies. 20% goes to savings and debt repayment. Now, if you're struggling with debt, those percentages shift. A credit card charging 22% interest is a financial emergency. You wouldn't ignore a fire in your kitchen. So why ignore debt that's burning through your future wealth? A budget doesn't restrict your freedom, it creates it. Because when you control your money, it stops controlling you. Saving seems simple. Spend less than you earn. But if it were that simple, everyone would do it. The problem is that most people save backwards. They earn money, spend it, and then try to save whatever's left over. And what's usually left over? Nothing. Wealthy people reverse this equation. They pay themselves first. The moment income hits their account, savings come off the top. Let's make this concrete. Jennifer earns $5,000 a month. Under the old system, she'd spend freely and maybe save $200. Under the pay yourself first system, $1,000 goes directly into savings the day she gets paid. Now she lives on $4,000, and guess what? She adjusts. This is how you build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. This fund is your financial shock absorber. When the car breaks down, when the medical bill arrives, when life happens, you don't go into debt. You handle it. Most financial stress doesn't come from big disasters. It comes from small emergencies that people aren't prepared for. A $1,000 surprise shouldn't derail your entire financial life, but for 40% of Americans, it would. Investment. Now we get to where wealth is actually built. Investment. This is where money stops being something you work for, becomes something that works for you. Let's be clear, saving money in a regular savings account is not investing. Your earning may be 0.5% to 4% while inflation runs at 3% or higher. You're not building wealth. You're barely protecting it. Investing means putting your money into assets that grow over time. Stocks, bonds, real estate, index funds, retirement accounts. Here's the magic of compound interest. Einstein allegedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. If you invest $500 a month starting at age 25, earning an average 8% annual return, by age 65, you'll have approximately $1.7 million. Your actual contributions, $240,000. The rest $1.46 million. That's compound interest. Your money making money, which then makes more money. But if you wait until 35 to start, you'll have only about $730,000. That 10-year delay costs you nearly $1 million. This is why understanding investment isn't optional. Real example, David and Lisa, both 30, both earning $60,000. David spends everything and figures he'll start investing someday. Lisa maxes out her 401k and invests in low-cost index funds. Fast forward 30 years. David has maybe $100,000 scraped together. Lisa has $2.3 million. Same income, completely different financial destinies. The stock market isn't a casino if you understand what you're doing. Diversification, dollar cost averaging, long-term thinking. These aren't complicated concepts, they're just concepts that nobody teaches. Risk management finally. Risk management, you can do everything right, budget perfectly, save aggressively, invest wisely, and one uninsured catastrophe can wipe it all out. Risk management is about insurance, emergency funds, and proper planning. Health insurance, disability insurance, life insurance if you have dependents. People hate paying for insurance. It feels like wasted money when nothing goes wrong, but insurance isn't for when things go right, it's for when they go catastrophically wrong. Story: Marcus, 38, healthy, figured he didn't need disability insurance. Then a car accident left him unable to work for 14 months. No disability coverage meant no income. He burned through his savings, maxed out credit cards, nearly lost his house. The disability policy he declined would have cost $80 a month. His financial recovery took 5 years. Risk management also means diversification. Don't put all your money in one stock, one asset class, one investment. Spread your risk. Think of your financial life as a house. Income is the foundation. Budgeting is the frame. Saving is the walls. Investing is the roof. But insurance is the fire alarm and sprinkler system. You hope you never need it, but you're incredibly grateful when you do. So why do most people work for money but never learn how it works? Because they were never taught. Because our education system doesn't prioritize financial literacy. But you're here, which means you're already breaking that pattern. Understanding money isn't about being greedy, it's about freedom. Freedom to choose your work because you want to, not because you're desperate. Freedom to retire with dignity. Freedom to live life on your terms. Every financially successful person started exactly where you are now learning. Track your expenses this week. Build a budget this month. Start your emergency fund today. Open that investment account you've been putting off. If this opened your eyes, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Because financial education doesn't end with one video. Your financial future isn't determined by how much you earn. It's determined by how well you understand what to do with what you earn. Now you know.